Welcome, everybody watching online and listening. This is the Fresco Press podcast, The Stories Behind the Shirt. This is episode 2. My name is Mike Hartle, and we'll just kind of go around the room and introduce who we have here talking and watching online, so you guys have some context to who we are and what we're doing. But we're really excited about today's show and who our guest is. I think everybody will be able to find this entertaining and hopefully as inspiring as we do. So
Cool.
Kick it over to you guys. Let's go around the table.
Here again, Dasha Wolf. We've got our awesome sound engineer, Aaron. And then new, we've got our partner, Johnny. Johnny, explain.
Yeah, I'm Johnny. I'm one of the owners of Fresco and Riven, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and then who do we have? Our lovely guest over here.
I'm Hillary Horman.
Hillary Horman. Okay. So today's episode is number 2, and it's called Jump In For Jude. And, you know, one thing that's really struck us as we kind of set the table in episode 1 is as we work with a lot of these clients, honestly, the context and the stories behind why we're making t-shirts has always been very inspiring to us, whether it be for specific events, a cause, a business, somebody getting started. If you think about it, people really make shirts to either celebrate something, maybe as a memorial. And so we're lucky and happy to be part of a cause for Jump In For Jude. And maybe to kind of set the table, I have kind of a little personal connection with this story. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law, or my brother and his wife, live in the same neighborhood with Hillary. And so that's how I heard about this story and how we kind of connected to be able to do this job. So maybe, Hillary, if you could kind of tell us why we're doing this campaign, like, and maybe kind of take us back to why we're all here, I guess.
Yeah. So, Jump In For Jude started as a way, really, for me to calm my PTSD after the whole event with Jude. But in fact, it's created something, I think, bigger and better than just maybe intentionally. I just needed to kind of feel like I was giving back, or that I wasn't just sitting on this really great miracle that has been given to our family. So I guess to start back from where it all started was I had taken Jude to the pool, and it was just one of those.
How long ago was this?
It was 2 years ago on Saturday.
Okay.
June 13th. And we all have those days. It was just so much was going on. I didn't really want to go swimming, but my sisters were coming down from Salt Lake, and they wanted to go to the pool. And I was hesitant. I had just had a baby. All of these reasons why I was dragging my feet to go to the pool. It's just one of those things that always I remember in my mind, like I had gone. But so my sisters came, and at the very, very last minute, I'm like kicking my garage door out to run in and go with them. And we walked in, and I had seen a friend of mine, and had actually seen Captain Beck, who's our good friend, but everybody knows him as Captain Beck. And I walked over there, and I thought Jude had walked over, with the chairs under the pavilion, because that's what we did every time.
And how old was Jude?
Jude was 3, so he just turned 5.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Dash doesn't have kids, so he doesn't know like what a 3-year-old around water is quite yet. So,
and to tell the story, it's always I kind of have to, I made a mistake and I was not watching, so that's part of the reason why I'm kind of turned so passionate about water safety and all of this. But,
well, and as a parent, I think it's a mistake that like all of us, it could be any of us. Honestly, it's so simple and naive that there's been a million times where it could have happened to me or my kids, where it is so hard to keep track of them at every second of every minute. So
when I think we get comfortable where the same spot we go over and over and over, or our kids do the same thing, you have to put your sunblock on, you have to put your life vest on. And it just was we were just too comfortable, And the thing is it really, really does. You hear it, but if anybody could really believe me, it happens so fast that you can't even, like, you you can't even process it. You don't even know how that happened. But so we walked in, and I'm talking, thinking Jude's with my sisters, and then all of a sudden, it just gets so loud at the pool. Everybody's screaming. Sorry.
No,
everybody's
that's okay.
screaming, and
we knew this would be a little bit a little bit more emotional and heavy of a episode 2, but that's why we wanted to do it.
We can make it light.
No, that's
so. Anyways, and everybody's screaming, and then I look around. They're like, somebody's drowned, and then all of a sudden, everyone starts screaming my name, and I have really few memories of it just because it was just so. But my sister had pulled Jude out of the pool. She had recognized his swim shorts after a sweet grandma or one of the moms of one of our neighbors had spotted him. And the crazy thing is, to anybody listening, there were people bumping into him. I mean, he was just there and nobody even knew what had happened. But this mom was kind of watching him, and then she brought it to everybody's attention. And then I remember picking Jude up and just screaming for Jake because I had just seen him. And I mean, and he'd walked in maybe 3 minutes before me. So the way the whole day played out was really hardly even you can say it was a coincidence. It just seemed to be like this chess game where everybody was just where they needed to be, right when they needed to be there.
Yeah. How many people would you say were in the pool right around then?
Let's see. Maybe...
Or near the pool.
50, 100. I mean, it wasn't packed, but there was a good amount of people
That's
there.
what's amazing to me, and kind of my mentality when my kids are there. It's kind of like you have this group safety mentality. You think that everybody's kind of like, but it goes to show you like how with chaotic and people watching their own thing, like how easy it is, for a kid to be. Is he swimming underwater? What's he do? What's he doing? And just how quick and even though it's not like there was nobody around, and you hear some of these stories where somebody maybe climbed a fence and ended up in a pool or something like that. It was packed.
And a lot of the times that's what happens. I mean, there was a little boy that had drowned the same weekend as Jude at a family reunion. And I mean, it was no different. There was lots of aunts and uncles around. It just happens. And the thing is it's really, really quiet. I think some of us realize that it is, but there's also this misconception that there's flapping or that there's choking or that there's noise, and it's not. It's just completely, it's silent, and then that's why a lot of the time it goes unnoticed, is because it's not what we anticipated drowning to look like.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, I'm still kind of traumatized from it, but I remember being in a hotel pool with my brothers, and we were swimming, and my brother was 4 or 5, and he got away from the edge and was kind of flapping, fortunately, and my dad was in full clothes, didn't want to swim, and I remember seeing his head go under, and he was drowning, and my dad had to jump in, and it took some effort, and he had to save him. But I mean, I can imagine how, I still remember that vividly, 20 years, 25 years later. And I can only imagine how traumatizing and how chaotic that was for you.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things that I think maybe the trauma of it is what burns it in your mind, of the fear or whatever. But yeah, so we pulled Jude out, and I just remember, screaming for Jake, and Jake came and got him, and I thought he was dead. So I just kind of handed him, and I ran away. That flight or fight thing is
real. Like,
it's legit. And so...
Do you have any idea how long he actually ended up underwater? Is there a best guess?
So based on his condition, and I have to say this with real embarrassment, probably about 4 minutes.
Wow. I mean... I think it's really, brave.
Jake always says like 4 to 5 minutes is what he guesses.
To me, it's knowing the outcome, but it's time goes by, and it does go by fast. And I think I'm really impressed with you and how brave you are to tell the story and take responsibility in a way, I mean, for something that we all as parents feel like could easily happen to any of us. And so that's really impressive for me, one. But I mean, that goes to, so then what happened next? I mean, Jake, everybody knows Captain Jake.
Right.
That's an awesome name, by the way. Like
Jake Beck, right?
Yeah, I wish Captain Jake. I wish I could ever in life get a moniker or nickname as cool as Captain Jake. But
And everybody should have a Captain Jake.
yeah. So tell us what happened with Jake then.
So so this is secondhand coming, from talking to Jake and stuff afterwards. But when he got him, it's not to sound like morbid or anything, but it's like with your brother, it's a visual that is hard to kind of forget. The color of somebody that is in that stage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he was really limp and really gray and just lifeless. And so afterwards, after hearing Jake talk about it, he just thought like he's past saving. Mm-hmm. He had gone into respiratory arrest when Jake got him, and then he went into cardiac arrest. And after that, then he had, I guess this is a sign of, your brain shutting down and your body getting ready to go, is that you lose your bowels. And so all of that had happened. Wow. And so Jake is just thinking like, his kids are there. We're really good friends with them. Our little boys are just the best of little friends. And so I can't imagine what he must have been feeling like. I can't save my friend's kid. And so I just remember him, working on him, and he never even let him touch the ground. He worked on him while he was holding him. It was just really endearing to hear how he took care of Jude, to try to save him. So he performed CPR and rescue breathing. And then my really good friend that lives in the neighborhood as well, Kelsey Jorgensen, started helping Jake do the breathing for him. And then I'm in and out hating Jake. Save him,
yeah.
And then they came in and he had woken up, and then Jake took him again to still work on him.
So how what was the scene like with everybody else there? I mean, I know there's a lot of kids and family.
Yeah.
Was everybody kind of freaking out?
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure all the kids can remember it vividly as well. But or did people try to clear them out maybe to?
No, I think it was really really chaotic. Like, we couldn't find the address. And so that was another thing that I've tried to tell people. There was no address posted on our pool. And so if anybody, would ever say, like, what would you do? Have your cell phone and an address nearby, because Jake had to yell, like, tell him it's Captain Beck and I need somebody now. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know the address. And thank goodness the HOA manager walked by right when we needed him to. But there was a lot of kids, and they were all really, really scared because all of the adults are panicking and freaking out. But the mom that had seen Jude, she was there with her kids, and I was told that she was trying to gather a lot of the kids kind of away from what was going on, and they said a little prayer for Jude over in the corner, and so it was. They didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't want to kind of shy away from that aspect. I mean, I personally, like, from what I know of it, it's a miracle to me. I mean, I believe in miracles, and how long do you think that Jake worked on Jude before they showed some signs of life again?
Well, so based on his condition, they're guessing that he was under for about 4 minutes. And from when the 911 call picked up, it was 5+ minutes. So
there goes Obama.
So, and in fact, it's funny you ask, because we were actually just having a conversation about that this week, trying to account for, like, how long he was working on him for, and how strange time goes by, and it goes by really slow, and then it goes by really fast. But so by the time somebody had gotten their phone, found their phone, called, and started the 911 call, we know that call was about 5 minutes, and we know he was under for about 4 minutes. So, he was probably without oxygen 8 to 9 minutes. So,
oh my God.
Wow.
It really, and I have to say, I kind of believe the same thing. Like, to say I'm lucky kind of just doesn't, or that Jude's so lucky, or, oh, that was a scare. It was quite more than a scare, and I feel quite more than just lucky. I mean, it was just a miracle, and he doesn't have brain damage, and all of that stuff can start occurring, within a minute of being without oxygen. So for him to go that long and not have any...
Let me ask you this. So you said you have a phone, you have the address to where I have twins that are 24 months old, and that's my biggest fear is I go somewhere and, like, I lose one, I'm watching one, and someone's like, what's the best advice you would give to, like, young families or kids with young kids when they go to the pool or when they go to those places, besides, have the address and things? Like, what would you have done differently that day, hindsight?
I think one thing I would say is a lot of, especially around here, a lot of us have neighborhood pools or HOA pools or like Cowabunga Bay Pass. And by nature, we get really comfortable. So I would say first and foremost, to not trust that your kids are going to follow the rules every time they go to the pool.
Sure.
Just because they put their life vest on every time before they go in the water, don't trust that and don't get comfortable. And repeat. And I would say a lot of the times you get to the pool and it's the kids are excited, they're anxious, they are all over the place, and you're trying to get them in, get their sunblock on and stuff. That I would say not to use that time as the time to say, don't do this and don't do this, and make sure you stay on the side or whatever. But if you frequent the same pool, or if you're around water a lot, or whatever, I would make it a very common topic of conversation, and remind your kids. I mean, I know with a 24-month-old, probably not, but if you have older kids, remind them what it feels like when they're tired. If you're tired, come take a break, get some water, get a snack, and just remind them of things to be mindful of. If there's a bunch of kids jumping in, move away. You don't want to get your head, you don't want somebody to jump on your head. Yeah. So those are things I kind of tell my kids, that if you're getting tired, hop out for a second. Or if there's a bunch of kids and they're jumping on top of you, move.
Good idea.
Just things to be mindful of. And I think for little kids or parents like that, to realize that water is really fun, and you can make a lot of really great memories and bond with your kids at the pool. I mean, it's what summer's all about, right? Yeah. But at the same time, water is really, really dangerous, and you wouldn't leave your kids with a chainsaw. You wouldn't leave your kids with an open flame, because it would take a second for them to get burned, right? Or a second. It's the same thing. So I think as parents, you have to go in and think of water as the dangerous thing that it could potentially be, and remind yourself, you wouldn't walk out to your car if there was a fire.
Right.
And you wouldn't walk out to your car if there was, something dangerous right there. And you wouldn't, so just remember, it should be fun. Yeah. And I think learning to swim and being comfortable around water is really an imperative life skill. You don't want to be afraid of water.
That was my next question. Did Jude have any swimming lessons or anything beforehand? Was he I imagine you said you were comfortable in the water, so he'd been swimming before, so it was just kind of a freak accident that he maybe jumped in and did he hit his head or something or anything, or was it just did anyone see? No,
he just couldn't touch.
Oh, okay.
So he jumped in and did he
jump in the deep end, or did he walk out from the other end?
Well, he used 3, so even the 3 foot, he probably wouldn't even be 3.
No, he wouldn't have, he didn't, he wasn't able to. And that's another thing, a sign that you can see if somebody's in distress is their eyes get really big and their mouth is open and they're kind of bobbing in the water a little bit rather than playing. It's just kind of a small but distinct difference between somebody who might be in distress but I don't know. I just would keep in mind that, as long as it might take you to run to the bathroom or to send a text message or to do things like that, there's a Utah Valley Pediatrics gave me this drowning flyer to give out, and one of their things is that I really liked is to have a water watcher. And so if you are going to go do a text, respond, and, we're parents, you can't avoid life, even though you're at the pool, but be responsible about it and say, okay, I'm going to go run out to my car. I need you to watch my kids, and make sure that you don't assume somebody's watching them, but kind of, they call it a water watcher.
Well, something that's scary to think about. I'm terrified to be a parent because of this. I don't have kids, by the way. Closest thing I have to kids are the boys downstairs, and they're really good about putting their floaties on. But no, the scariest thing to think about is what I did at pools when I was a kid, because the first thing I love doing is have competitions holding your breath. And I love doing this, as horrible as it is, and my parents probably didn't even realize, but I loved exhaling all the air out and letting my body float so that I could lay flat on the bottom of the pool. This is something I did when I was really young, and I loved doing it. It was a challenge, and I would always swim up, and I loved looking like a lifeless body. Or when you're floating in the pool, and I know that's like funny, but how horrifying is it as a parent that that's what kids do?
Yeah.
Kids like consciously are trying to look unconscious in the water because it's fun.
Yeah.
But as a parent, you have no idea if it's a joke, if they're doing it for real, or I mean, even if you're watching them, you don't know.
Yeah. One thing you could look for, though, is when they are drowning, their legs hang vertically. That was another thing that I've learned since that, is that instead of flapping, that if their legs are just hanging down, then that's another sign of distress.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
So, because usually, by default, you're doggy paddling or you're moving around,
kicking and
Yeah. So take us back to Jude. I mean, obviously, he survived, obviously.
Yeah.
So this story has a happy ending. In my neighborhood, our neighborhoods are really close, and we actually had a tragedy happen with a boy of a similar age. If you remember when the headstone fell on that boy, he was in my neighborhood, and it's been amazing to me to see how the community's kind of rallied around that tragedy. And that family is just absolutely amazing, and so it's close to me, and then our neighborhood's just being about a half mile south of yours, how your neighborhood and the communities rallied towards this in a positive way. But Johnny, if you want to show the camera like the Jude I Survived shirt, and then tell us about Jude, how he recovered, like what his recovery was like, and then like what he's like and how he is now.
So, he went up to primaries and they kept him there, evaluated him.
Was he life flighted?
No, he was just lights and sirens up to in an ambulance. He was, because he was awake when the paramedics came.
Okay.
Yeah,
they were working on him on the way.
Yeah,
out.
they were working on him, and he was on oxygen, and then but they took him straight up to primaries in Salt Lake, and the recovery, honestly, again, is just nothing short of a miracle. It almost makes me think this experience might have just been for the rest of us, because he's really resilient, and he was really afraid of water the summer it happened. The doctors up at primaries had really encouraged us to get him back in the water as soon as we could, and perhaps we tried too soon, and he didn't even want to put a bathing suit on, so he would go in his clothes, in his shorts and shirts and underwear and everything. So we waited a little bit, and now he calls it the naughty pool.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he wanted to go to the naughty pool, and he's not scared of water. I mean, he's definitely aware of safety, of what he can and can't do, and what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. And that really is only because we don't shy away from it, and we say, like, if you don't do this, you will drown. And he understands now what that means.
Yeah.
And so, and now, his brother's a little bit more hesitant. My oldest son doesn't love it.
Well, yeah, he was there, obviously.
He was there, yeah. So his is a little bit different, but Jude is doing great. I mean, remarkably well, and shows no signs of fear. The first year, though, he had some post-traumatic things going on, and when he would sleep, he had like a re-drowning occurrence where he'd start screaming that his ears would hurt and that he couldn't breathe, and that his
Wow.
So that happened for a while where he was having a hard time, and his pediatrician said that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
But the second drowning is a real thing, and that usually only happens within 24 hours of the drowning incident, of when your body really does re-drown itself. And that's why they encourage kids or adults who have had any kind of drowning incident to go be seen, because that could happen.
So I've heard of that, but I don't know much about it. What is that like?
I should know that better, technically speaking, but it's basically I don't know if it's the water in your lungs or if it's a brain thing that literally just your body
like resuffocates itself.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. It's not just an
fatal.
No, it's dangerous.
Fatal.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
You can die.
You can be laying in your bed and drown.
So
wow.
after you like inhale all the water, your lungs fill back up with water, and it's like you can't take a breath, and then you drown yourself from the inside.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that's awful.
See, thanks for knowing that.
Yeah. That,
With my twins, I'm like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is Jude like? Obviously, he's kind of famous. Is he aware that he's like the source of like an inspirational story?
Yeah, I think so. We try to tell him that, we have tried to make a real effort to not, as a family, not take for granted. As morbid as it was, I don't want to forget all of those things because I feel like it makes me a better mom, and I really am grateful for the breakfast mess that I get to clean up or his dirty bed that I get to make.
Yeah.
So kind of keeping it real and as a constant conversation in our family, we always, say a prayer, and we're thankful every night that, Jude's life was saved. And so he's very much aware that is going on. And then we've talked about Jump In For Jude. He's helping me hand out flyers and things like that. And he knows it's to help save other people's life. So, I don't know on a 5-year-old's level, but he does get for the most part what we're doing.
That's cool. And obviously, people talk about firemen and policemen being heroes all the time. And obviously, this day, Captain Jake was, the epitome of a hero. I mean, what's your relationship with those guys now? And I mean, I can only imagine the gratitude you feel for him.
It's like it makes your mind spin. How do you? Because it was solely Jake. I mean, when Kelsey came in and helped. So between the two of them, they are solely individually responsible for, obviously there was a miracle and there was things that went on, that at least that's how we believe it. But had Jake not been sitting next to us, Jude would have died. And I mean, and the paramedics were they were just down the street, and they actually, when they got the call, thought it was Jake's son. So they hauled over there. And even then, the 5 or 6 minutes that Jake had been working on him, it would have been a life or death situation.
Yeah.
So my gratitude to Jake is like, how do you even, and I remember that summer, I'm like, I don't even know how to look at you. Like, I don't even know.
Do I bake you cookies?
I know.
And
that's why I'm like,
every day for the rest of my life?
It's so funny because that's what my husband said. He's like, you can't bake cookies for everybody. And like, what do you do? And I mean, I even tease because I'm good friends with his wife. I'm like, do you mind that I'm obsessed with your husband? Like, and he's so humble about it. And so if you were to ever say, oh no, whatever, but it's like a drop to your knees kind of gratitude. Like, the kind that you don't feel, hey, thanks for that or whatever, but it really is like the kind that just kind of just, I know that probably sounds really cheesy.
No,
but it's the kind that just makes you want to fall down. Like, I can't even say thanks.
That's
enough.
the other piece of this that's so interesting to me is that, a lot of times first responders and policemen, they kind of get vilified or whatever. But in instances where, really his training, his response, everything was perfect to be literally a hero in like every sense of the definition, a real hero. And that's, something to be super commended. Firefighters, they choose a specific lifestyle, and it's just amazing to me that somebody's willing, has chosen that and then able to utilize their training and be a hero to somebody.
Isn't
it's so amazing and fascinating to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing to think about is you don't have to be a firefighter, because ultimately, even though there were some incredible things at play, it came down to Jake's CPR knowledge.
Exactly.
You don't have to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to. I mean, everybody can be very
well, and that's what this whole thing is about.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Is that the kind of the idea, like, really, who's going to have a Captain Jake sitting next to him? Not everybody. And in fact, I can't even believe that I was so fortunate to have him sitting next to me, to have his skills to be able to help save Jude. But that's the whole idea about around everything that we're doing is, CPR, bystander CPR, because it could have been anybody, so that's kind of what the Jump In For Jude mission is. And Jake's on the board of Jump In For Jude. And
I didn't know that. Yeah. So tell us more about, like, Jump In For Jude, obviously this has been the catalyst for you to kind of raise awareness and be a cause. Tell us very specifically like what it is about, like what you guys stand for, and then the actual event on Saturday.
Okay. So last year we started it. It was the 1 year anniversary of Jude being saved, and I just was thinking like I've got to do something. It's that feeling of gratitude. Like I've got to do something about this. Like there's no reason why Jude survived and the little boy up in Park City didn't. The same situation. And so I was kind of just thinking, what could we do? And Jake and Kelsey and Diane and so many people in our community, we started trying to brainstorm like what we could do, and we just came up with the Jump In For Jude. And the idea of it is just to help facilitate safer pools, and not necessarily specific to pools, but our mission is to train and help support bystander CPR in any way that we can do. So last year, with the first year, we, at the fundraiser or at the event, we have the fire department there, and they've got CPR dummies, and they're training about CPR. And
that's awesome.
We're doing this. And last year, we were able to buy AEDs, the defibrillators, and we put them throughout the whole city of Lehigh at the pools. And so with that, the fire department, we came and we trained all the residents how to do CPR and how to use the AED.
That's awesome.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So had there been an AED at the pool that day with Jude, do you think that Jake would have had a much easier time resuscitating him, and that if Jude wasn't so lucky to have such incredible endurance, that he could have been revived quicker with an AED?
Yeah, so the statistics of an AED being used with CPR, the firemen are going to be like, oh, come on, you don't remember this? But I think, it increases it at least by 50% your survival rate. And as does early CPR. So if you like, that's why bystander CPR is so important. So
clarify bystander CPR, because a lot of times, like I hear, don't do CPR, do CPR. It's illegal. Don't No. What's the definitive?
And in fact, always do it. Mm-hmm. Always do it. And they've changed it where it's a hands only. Okay. Except in a drowning situation where you do the breathing. Yeah. But they've changed it now to a hands only. Do it. Okay. It doesn't matter. And just pump their chest. Okay. And you are covered by the Good Samaritan law.
Okay.
So if you were to do it incorrectly, or if it didn't work, no legal ramifications would ever come back to you, nor if you used an AED. Like, so you or whomever were helping you, or if you were at a building, if something were to happen here, everybody's covered under the Good Samaritan law. So there would be people shouldn't be hesitant to try to help, as worried or from being worried that they might do it incorrectly.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So on Saturday, is there like a charity, a fundraiser? What can people do to help out the cause? And what are the actual festivities on Saturday?
Okay. So last year, like I said, we did AEDs, and this year we are trying to buy this really incredible app, and it's called PulsePoint. And we would be the first in Utah to have it, but it would cover all of Utah County. So from Lehigh to, Spanish Fork. So it's about 650,000 people that would be able to, and you wouldn't have to live here. You just have to be in the area of during an emergency. So what it is it syncs up with your city's dispatch. So let's say somebody were to have a sudden cardiac arrest here, and it's a misconception that it's always the older people that have heart attacks or whatever, and that's not the case. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, kids have undiagnosed heart conditions, and it happens so much more than we think. But when you call 911, it immediately would send an Amber Alert type of alert to your phone, and it would pop up and it would say where the emergency is. So if you've been trained like in CPR or know how to do it, or you'd be willing to help, you would download the app, and it's totally free, and it would just pop up on your phone. Just have you ever gotten an Amber Alert?
Yeah. What's it called?
PulsePoint. PULSE.
And you said you have to buy it. What is it?
No, it's free.
Okay.
We just we're trying to raise the money, so it's $22,000.
Okay.
And what that is that covers, every single city and their dispatch, and it syncs up to your phone. So if you download the app and say, I know CPR and I'm willing to help, then if anyone
in, you know, any of these nearby buildings or
awesome.
anything.
That's amazing.
You'd get the app and you could run, you know, five doors down and save them.
So if they're Captain Jake's nearby,
yeah,
they
see,
can get the
you got-
message and come running.
Exactly.
They should rename
That's
it
cool.
Captain Jake.
Wow.
They should, right?
That'd be awesome.
That's amazing.
So that's what the
Okay.
fundraiser part of Saturday is for this year, is and it's incredible. Vegas has it, California has it. It's been on Dateline. It has already proven to save many, many lives, because that early CPR really makes the difference between life and death oftentimes. And so the idea of it is, you know, I know how to do CPR now, so I could go and help somebody. I'm not Captain Jake, but I could help somebody, and so that they might be able to be like Jake was for me until the paramedics were to get there and make the difference between somebody having a happy ending like I did and somebody, unfortunately, you know, not. So on Saturday, we're trying to raise money, and we have a GoFundMe account, and it's just called Jump In For Jude. And then we also have our charity account set up at Any Mountain America, so you could donate there. And we are a 501c3, so we are recognized by the IRS as a charity. So any donations are tax exempt, if that, you know, that kind of helps some people. But then Saturday, it's going to be really such a fantastic night. We've got Lifelight coming with their helicopter.
Oh, cool.
And we're going to have Saratoga Springs Fire Department there with their fire chief and their firemen. And we're going to have the Lehigh Fire Department with their chief and their firemen there. And they're going to be there teaching CPR, just how easy and how important it is. And we're going to have some AEDs where people can try to put them on. You could learn how to put them on a child. You know, how do you do it on a child? It's really easy. And I think once people see that, you wouldn't shy away from grabbing one and using it.
I might have missed this. Where's this located at?
It's at Cabela's, at Traverse Mountain.
Okay, that's perfect.
Traverse.
Just in the parking lot then? Okay.
So it's going to be in the south parking lot, the space between the Outlet Mall and Cabela's.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have the food truck underground there with their food trucks.
Awesome.
Ooh, yeah.
And is it free for everyone to go?
Free
It's
for
just
everybody.
donations if you can.
Yeah.
If not, come and learn about
Please.
everything and
If
become
nothing
educated.
else, obviously we want to get the PulsePoint, but our mission is
Educate.
just to educate.
So awesome.
So
What
we'll
time
have
on
that.
Saturday?
It's at 5:00.
So 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah.
Until when?
Till
Just
8.
Until
well,
8-ish?
yeah, 8, 9. You know, we're going to close the silent auction at 8, but you know, the food trucks will be there late, and people want to stay. We'll have music,
Sure.
and it'll be a great event.
So the ways to raise money, are you selling these shirts there?
yeah,
or are they
so
for
we're going to have
volunteers?
shirts there, and then we're going to have
A charity auction?
we're going to have a raffle, so people can, you know, buy raffle tickets.
Can
And-
people donate stuff, or do you
Yes.
have?
Oh yes. Everything
We want
is
to give
donated.
you a bunch of ribbon stuff to auction
Oh,
off there for the raffle. I mean.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, we would appreciate that. That's so nice.
Yeah, I mean that's at the very least, you know, what we want to do.
Yeah.
So.
I would love that. Love to be a
thanks,
part of
How
it.
else can people can help by the GoFundMe? They can go donate at Mountain America.
At
you
any
said?
Mountain America,
Jump
and
In
you
For
just have to
Jude.
say, I want to donate to Jump In For Jude, and the account and everything's under that name.
How close are you guys to the goal? I guess the goal's 22,000.
Yeah.
Hasn't quite lifted off yet. Okay.
No, so we're hoping
So they're
Saturday
gonna-
will be a
Good.
successful night. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we've got a silent auction. We've got some good stuff that really great companies like you guys have supported us from. And then we're going to have lots of fun activities for the kids. We're going to have face painting. We're going to have train rides. We'll have, lots of princesses. For any Star Wars fans, the 501st.
Oh yeah. Now we're talking. Hey, we can
Mike
probably
will be
get our
there.
Comic-Con friends.
The
to
Alpine Garrison,
to help
I guess,
reach out. Yeah.
is coming.
Do you have social media outlets that we could follow to get this information?
Yeah, so you can follow us on Facebook at Jump In For Jude. Yeah, and then right now our Instagram account is kind of just going through all of our personal ones because we had more of a follow. You know, we had more people we
Is
knew
there a
on our personal.
hashtag that we can look for?
Yeah, just Jump In For Jude.
Jump In For Jude.
Because I'd like to share it on all of our
Yeah.
social
There's
media
so
outlets
yeah.
and let people know where it's at. And I think that's an awesome cause. I mean, anyone who has kids, you've kind of lived through their nightmare, and I loved hearing your story. It made me more aware of what could happen in a blink of an eye. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're extremely brave, Hillary, and we really appreciate it. And honestly, like your story's been inspiring to me.
Thanks, you guys.
It's so nice to hear tragedies that also have a happy ending. And not only that, but to spur you into action to actually do something and make a difference. I mean, what we were talking about before, where if one person hears it and it makes a difference to them, that person's more aware. It prevents tragedy. I mean, everything, all your efforts, anybody's efforts along the way are worth it. So
thanks so much, you guys.
Your perspective is incredible, by the way.
Oh, no.
Like your whole perspective on the whole situation, I couldn't think of a better way to twist something that could have been so bad to something so incredible. Like you probably are saving people you don't even know.
Exactly.
And it's awesome.
I mean, the gratitude that you felt for Captain Jake, you mean really this overwhelming gratitude. I mean, if this cause saves one kid, I mean, you're talking about that. I mean, if it saves 100 kids, I mean, it's incredible. I really think
just me with my kids. I know now, like just hearing that story, like I said,
you guys are really kind.
Oh no, it's. I mean, it is what it is. Like. So, no, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon.
Thanks for so much for having me.
Any last thoughts?
No, just come on Saturday and really, like, even if it's just for a minute. I mean, we've got a whole water safety table. We've got things to keep your kids entertained. If nothing else, just come.
Okay, everybody, if you hear this and you can support us in any way, support Jump In For June this Saturday at Cabela's in Lehigh at 5:00. If you want to support it but you can't make it to the event, you can go to the Jump In For Jude on GoFundMe, or you can go to any mountain in America and donate there at the branches. Also, you can follow them on Facebook at Jump In For Jude, and any of their, I'm sure there'll be Jump In For Jude hashtags, and we'll also shout it out on all of Fresco Press's social media as well. So thank you so much.
Can I come even though I don't have kids?
Please come. Yes.
Okay.
I'll buy you a waffle.
Yeah. Is Waffle Love coming?
Waffle Love is coming.
Oh man, I'm gonna go there and just eat all the food. It's
or cotton candy, whatever you want. I'll buy you whatever you want.
And we'll be there.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Very much appreciate
Awesome
it.
Story. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.